What's up, guys? Be doing a TikTok live here. It'll be uploaded on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you follow me on TikTok, and same goes for TikTok. Make sure you check this out on YouTube afterwards. Be going over my top 20 quarterbacks heading into next season, why I have the rankings where I do. And, you know, obviously there's going to be a lot of disagreements here. This is possibly the biggest discourse in sports, always, right? It's always, where do you rank certain quarterbacks after a given year? And I just came out with 2 videos on it, so make sure you check those out. But I also wanted to do TikTok live. I try to do at least 1 to 2 a week. You know, and kind of just go over some questions about why. And obviously, we're going to disagree. Like, you're not going to agree with me on everything. You may disagree with me on everything. But at the end of the day, you know, it's always good to get that discourse in. And yeah. Herbert at 14, come on, man. Dude, he needs to win a playoff game before I move him higher. Even Dak has won a playoff game. You know? I don't know. That's kind of how I view it. Like, talent-wise, sure. But we're not talking pure talent. If we were talking pure talent, Purdy wouldn't even be in the top 50, right? Like, so at the end of the day, like, Purdy is a winner. He wins games. Same with Jalen Hurts. Like, they wouldn't even be in the top 20 if they didn't win games. If we're talking from a pure talent perspective, right? Like, winning matters. Sure, the system around them matters. But he had Jim Harbaugh. He won all these games last year. And then at the end of the day, he throws 3 or 4 picks in a playoff game when they finally need him to pass. Didn't pass all year long. He only had like 3,200 yards last year because it was a run-heavy offense. And of course, teams win games, but players can game manage enough to push you over the edge. It seems like every time they desperately need Herbert to win a game, he chokes. And that's the difference between him and even a Baker Mayfield has won a few playoff games. You know what I mean? I take that into account. Obviously, Baker's on a good team, but I think that matters for sure. And listen, we're always going to have, like, to me, every quarterback benefits from the weapons they have, like the Brock Purdy argument. Oh, he is on a super team. Well, the super team won 6 games last year. He's still a 7th in QBR. But regardless, if that's your take, every quarterback in the NFL besides Allen, Jackson, and Mahomes need weapons to succeed. There was discourse about Joe Burrow being a fraud a year and a half ago because he was struggling without Jamar Chase. And now he threw 47 touchdowns last year. Do I think Joe Burrow is a top 4 quarterback? Absolutely. Did I think he was a top 4 quarterback without Jamar Chase? Absolutely. But he needed his weapons. Only Josh Allen, even Mahomes needs Reed, and Jackson has, you know, a bazillion first-round picks on his team now. Josh Allen is the one that's like, okay, Khalil Shakir is a 5th-round pick. He used to be your wide receiver 1, and you're taking him all the way to almost the Super Bowl. To me, that's the most impressive thing. So that's why. Healthy Tua at 19 is wild, but how do we know he's healthy? You know what I mean? Like, it's a skill to be available. I took that into account. That's another thing with Herbert and why he's so low. Like, he misses a lot of games. He's always hurt. I mean, in Tua, I get it's not his fault. It's the offensive line's fault. That's Miami's fault for never really prioritizing that offensive line. But Tua's a fraud, guys. Like, look, I'm never going to come in here, and people can hate my takes and whatever. I don't care. I don't give a shit. You could say the sky's blue in this industry, and people will say you're wrong. You know what I mean? That's what I've learned, okay? And a lot of people are going to love me. A lot of people are going to hate me. That's everything you do in life. It doesn't matter if I'm a creator on TikTok or if you go to actual business and work all day. You're going to have coworkers that fucking hate you or like you. That's how life goes. I'm going to say how I feel. And at the end of the day, I'm not afraid to go after these players. I'm not afraid to say Tua hasn't won a big fucking game since Alabama. He's choked in literally every big game, despite having Tyreek Hill, who was arguably the number 1 wide receiver in football 2 years ago, and Jalen Waddle, who was coming off of an excellent rookie season, right? And they still choked. And then you go to the Kansas City game, they still choked. Last year, he gets hurt. And again, a lot of it is Miami's front office's fault for not surrounding him around, you know, good players like offensive linemen, specifically. Like, obviously the skill positions were great. But to me, I take that into account. Like, winning matters. If it was pure talent, like, I know people are wondering where Kyler Murray is. Like, if it was pure talent, Kyler Murray would be top 10 for sure. Like, he's one of the best pound for pound athletes in the entire world. So is Anthony Richardson. Like, You know what I mean? And yes, it's unfair. Kyler has had way better seasons and way better success than Anthony Richardson. But when I think about it, Kyler made the playoffs once. He was horrible in that playoff game. I get it, the rest of the roster. Well, you draft the first-round receiver last year. They're a bit better. They won games a lot because of McBride carrying them in defense last year. Kyler either looks like a top 5 quarterback or the worst quarterback in football, and there's no in between. And to me, consistency matters. The consistency I've seen from even Dak Prescott, Jared Goff, Brock Purdy, and Bo Nix, to me that outweighs the upside of Kyler because it fluctuates. His production fluctuates. So that's why I don't have Kyler in the top 20. And the reason why I have Drake May instead of Caleb Williams in the top 20 going into next season. Now, again, I expect Caleb to be in the top 15, Drake May top 15 at the end of next season. But right now, I gave May the edge because I saw him do more with less. And at the end of the day, to me, that matters. Like, May had no weapons. Your fucking uncle, who's drunk at a bar on Thursday night, was playing receiver for Drake May, and he was putting up numbers toward the end of the year. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that matters to me. I know Caleb was in a horrible situation, and at the end of the day, like, I love Caleb. I think Caleb's going to become a top 5 quarterback in the National Football League in a few years, but I can't put him in the top 20 right now. You know what I mean? Like, that's disrespectful to the guys that have earned it, like a Sam Darnold after last season, or, you know, guys that Tua, who has had a good career despite him being in the top. The problem with ranking NFL quarterbacks these days is that there's tier 1, which is like Allen, Jackson, Mahomes, Burrow, huge drop off. And then tier 2 is like, okay, Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, Matthew Stafford, Brock Purdy. Because we need to see Jaden one more year before I put him in the top 5. Like, Jaden was excellent last year. Can we see another Lamar Jackson type of season before he goes top 5, right? In my mind, that matters. Consistency, having a resume. That's why Drake May is lower. That's why Caleb's not on this list and guys like that. Now, the thing is I rewarded consistency, and I also understand, like, a lot of people don't understand this. The quarterbacks in the National Football League today are all very similar after the first 4. There really aren't horrible quarterbacks besides like 4 or 5 that are starters. Like, you know what I mean? Like, for Kyler Murray to not be in the top 20, yes, it's crazy because 20 years ago, you'd be like, this guy's the best player we've ever seen because no one would be able to see what he's done on the football field yet, right? You'd have like maybe Mike Vick types, guys like that, but Kyler would easily be a top 20 quarterback back then. Now, there's so many solid quarterbacks. Like, if we're going 5 through 20, you can make an argument for any of those guys to be in the top 10. You know what I mean? And again, people are going to disagree with me. That's fine. I'll answer questions and all that. Again, this will be available on YouTube for after. If you're missing any of this, make sure you follow me on TikTok. And even if you don't like my takes, I appreciate the support. I appreciate the follow. And this is what it's for. Like, this is football discourse. I have thick skin. Like, I appreciate the support. I appreciate the follow. And this is what it's for. Like, this is football discourse. I have thick skin. Like, I get people comment like, oh, this is a biased fucking Niners fan. This is a guy who, you know, you don't know, never rank again. Like, that's not going to stop me for what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Trust me. If you think I'm horrible, there's far worse people on TV making content than I am. And at least I've played sports at a very high level, which, you know, aren't like a lot of people in this industry who are the pure nerds. Like, I use a mixture of both. Like, I use statistics as well. And that's fine, but I'd appreciate a follow. I love all of you guys, even if you disagree with me, think I'm stupid, whatever. I don't give a fuck. Like, you have a right to your opinion. That's another problem with this industry. I'm not saying this list is right. Okay? Everyone says, I'm right, you're wrong. Like, why can't we have discourse and talk about it? You know what I mean? That's what we're lacking today. Again, Bryce Young had an excellent last year, but he was horrible his rookie year. So I felt he was right on that cusp at 21, 22, where I couldn't include him in the top 20 going into next season unless I see a little more consistency, personally. Now, again, there's an argument Bryce Young is 12, 13, 14, 15. The thing that pisses me off is the Stroud takes. Like, all of a sudden I see CJ Stroud bottom like 10 in the league. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, CJ Stroud league. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, CJ Stroud literally had one of the best rookie seasons ever 2 years ago. Now, obviously, Jaden like made it look like it was novice level, but still last year. But he had one down year, okay, and they still made the playoffs, whatever. He's still a top 11 quarterback. You know, it might be a little disrespectful that I have Stroud at 11. Now, he could be higher. You know what I mean? So, at the end of the day, how is Drake over Caleb? I just saw him do more with less. Like, it's not Caleb's fault. Like, he had Thomas Brown, who your grandma probably knows as much football as Thomas Brown, right? Like, it's like no disrespect to him. He's just not a good offensive coordinator. Probably a great guy. You know, maybe you'd get a beer with him sometimes, but like Matt Eberflus doesn't know his head from his ass. Neither does Thomas Brown. That's the issue with why Caleb didn't. And Caleb wasn't even that bad. He only threw like six picks, had like 20 touchdowns. So Purdy, low-key a system quarterback. Look, I hate to break it to you guys, but this is where the discourse dies. Everybody is a system quarterback except Josh Allen, pretty much, and Lamar Jackson. Like you think Patrick Mahomes has 3 Super Bowl rings without Andy Reid and vice versa? Like, he's a product of a system. He is a system quarterback. Now, Patrick Mahomes has the ability to go and do things on his own, I think, similarly to when Tom Brady left New England. Now, Bill Belichick was never an offensive guy anyways, but Tom was able to do that. I do think Pat has it in him. But if you think about it, every single quarterback, besides 2 or 3, are system quarterbacks. You know what I mean? Like, everyone's like, Brock Purdy's overpaid. That's the laziest take of all time because he's great for the system. Purdy is small. He has a weak arm, but he makes up for that with elite processing skills, fitting Kyle's system perfectly. And yeah, he's not Josh Allen. He's not 6'5", 240, right? Like 250. But at the end of the day, he does enough for that system where he earns that money. He also saved all their jobs. So John Lynch would be unemployed right now if Brock Purdy wasn't drafted in that 7th round pick. Now, I don't know if that was Adam Peters who took him, who obviously is the GM of the Commanders now. But at the end of the day, like, my point is most quarterbacks are system quarterbacks. Like Baker Mayfield, people wouldn't even have at 30 2.5 years ago before Sean McVay resurrected his career. And then obviously he went to Tampa and has been excellent, an MVP candidate, sleeper MVP candidate the last few years. But people didn't even have him in the top 30 basically 2 years ago. He wasn't even a starter. You know what I mean? So a lot of it is system. You think Stafford was great in Detroit, but Sean McVay is what makes Stafford elite, right? Stafford was fine in Detroit. He was good. He had Calvin Johnson, whatever. They never won shit. Okay, now part of that is, they needed to build a football team entirely. But McVay made Baker look way better, got him a job. Kyle does the same thing with quarterbacks. Did it with Darnold. He's doing it with Brock Purdy right now. I did it with Jimmy Garoppolo, who obviously was great on the Niners, good enough, and then couldn't do shit when he went to the Raiders, right? And then, now Baker's doing it in Tampa. So a lot of it is about system matters. Like, Goff is a system quarterback. There's nothing wrong with that. Goff is good. I just don't think Goff is as good as people think. Like, there's a reason Sean McVay said, get the fuck out of here. You're never winning us a Super Bowl, and got a better quarterback. You know what I mean? Like, he was a product of Ben Johnson's system. Now, I give him credit. He was excellent in the system. He had a great year, except, typical Goff. Like, in a big game, he choked. Like, against the Niners in the second half, he was atrocious. Against the Commanders, he was atrocious. In the Super Bowl against New England, when he was on the Rams, he was atrocious. So again, like, to me, that matters. And I take that into account. You could say what you want about Brock Purdy's system and all that, but the reason why Brock Purdy and Jalen Hurts are high on this list is they've gone to Super Bowls. They win. They win. Now, Hurts has won a Super Bowl, which is why I have him higher than a Jaden Daniels. Matthew Stafford has won a Super Bowl, so I value that. I have him higher than Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy has not won a Super Bowl, obviously. And Dak Prescott, I do think that regular season stats matter a certain extent. Like, what he's done, he's been dominant in the regular season. Now, I get the postseason success is lacking, and he'd be higher if he had any postseason success. I'm not going to put that all on him. Like, the Cowboys, really the way they've implemented their system, and with Mike McCarthy, now obviously Brent Stoudemire, it's not great, right? But I do think that Dak Prescott is good enough to be a top 10 quarterback. And the Cowboys do always choke, and they always will. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if the Cowboys never win a Super Bowl while we're all on this earth. Like, because when Jerry's gone, his son, people don't seem to trust him and think he's good, or, people think he's inept as well. It just needs to go out of the Jones family for the Cowboys to be good. It's similar to the Los Angeles Angels. If you look at like Artie Moreno, and people are like, the Angels have sucked for like 10 years. I know we're going MLB, but I've covered the team as a columnist the past few years, and great organization, great people. And I'm not trying to be like mean to Artie Moreno, but basically the same point was, yeah, the Angels have sucked because of him. Bad ownership. Like, ownership matters. And Jerry really did a great job with the brand expansion of the Cowboys. He's a marketing genius. But when we get to football, like, you're not winning a Super Bowl with Jerry Jones as your owner. You're just not. And look, the same could be said about the 49ers. Like, I seem to still have a little bit of faith in Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. But the fact of the matter is, we could talk about it in 10 years and be like, look, those guys are chokers. You went to the Super Bowl, you could never win. So it's hard to win. Not everyone's Howie Roseman. Not everyone is a good owner. That matters, in my opinion. Let's see. May at 16, arguably 15. I'm not talking about who I would have. It's a separate conversation if it's like who I would have going in next season as my quarterback, or who I would have in 2 or 3 years. This is right now based on last year. Dak, even on this, dude, you got to give Dak some respect. Like, Dak is a good quarterback. Trust me, I'm a Niners fan. Like, he chokes against us in the playoffs all the time. Like, whatever. In the regular season, he's great. In the game against us, in the first half, he was fine. In the NFC divisional round, like, we get he sees ghosts in big moments. So do a lot of those quarterbacks that are behind him on this list, though. And some in front, to be honest. Let's see. Burrow is overrated. Nah, dude, Burrow's good. But my point here was that Burrow, people thought was atrocious and ass a few years ago. People were like, okay, Burrow fucking sucks. This was a year and a half ago when Jamar Chase was hurt. And then he throws 47 touchdowns when Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are back, right? Like, come on, man. Like, the thing is, and this isn't rage bait. This is absolutely like standing on business. This is exactly how I feel. And I guarantee you this list is 10 times better than a lot of other people's. But you have a right to hate it. I'm not saying it's wrong for you to hate this list. Just like I'm not, treat it like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander discourse. You think he's a foul baiter, you think he's excellent at basketball. People are going to have their opinions. Neither are wrong, in my opinion. Like, you can say, like, this list sucks, whatever. Like, that's fine. Like, you don't have to agree with me. That's the problem with this industry a lot, is people are like, I'm right, you're wrong. That's not true. This is just based off of film, the games I've watched. This is the list I have, personally. Now, again, people don't think Brock Purdy's that good. You have Brock Purdy at 20, like, whatever. See, Josh, you are wrong, though. There is no right or wrong with these lists. Besides, like, if you have Mahomes out of the top 5, you're an idiot. Same thing with, like, Lamar Jackson, Allen, Burrow, right? But once we get to 5, all bets are off. I would hear an argument for Jordan Love to be 5 or CJ Stroud. You know what I mean? Like, I would hear an argument to see, okay, Justin Herbert, he's the 5th best quarterback in the league. Okay, I'll listen to it. Doesn't mean I agree. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, this guy should be banned. Yeah, thank you. Again, people are gonna hate me, love me, whatever. I don't care. You have a right to hate me. I just would appreciate a follow and would appreciate the support about growing this page. I'm not afraid to say my takes. Everyone's so fucking afraid to say takes nowadays. Like, I don't know if any of you guys follow Josh Pate in NCAA. Never has a controversial take in his life. I'm just gonna say what I believe, and if that's a problem, that's a problem. Like, if I can never get a job in a front office, whatever, I don't care, because I go after players. Like, that's fine. Like, I'm just going to say what I say. Are these players better than me? Yes. Of course. I don't play in the NFL. Of course they're better than me. But I can still hate on them. I can still give them flowers, which I will do. Purdy over Herbert? Yes, Purdy is a winner. He wins. He's a better processor than Herbert. If we're talking like pure talent, like Herbert is a big dude. Herbert's like 6'6", 240. Like, if we're talking pure talent, pure arm strength, everything, like, obviously he's a top 5 guy when it comes to that. But yeah, Baker top 5 easy. Okay, let's calm down there. Top 5 is a little, yeah, I could see it, but like, yeah, I mean, let's calm down a little bit. Again, this will be up on YouTube as well right after. And again, you guys have a right to your opinion. I have a right to mine. I think that's the problem we have with society. There's so much right, so much wrong. Like, instead of discourse, like, I love talking football. I like, having conversations about this. You know what I mean? That's what's important. No respect for Daniel Jones. Finally, someone with humor in the chat. Let's go. Where did I put A-Rod? Rodgers was really bad last year. He wasn't as bad as people think, but he was still pretty bad. And like I mentioned earlier on this live, is once you get past quarterback 5, everybody is really good, right? Like, everybody is at least mediocre, right? 5 through 20, 5 through 25. There's really only 4 or 5 bad quarterbacks, starting quarterbacks in the NFL. Rodgers is not one of them. I still think Rodgers is in the early 20s probably. Cam Ward narrative coming to. I love Cam Ward, but he hasn't played a snap. I'm not putting anybody that hasn't played a snap on there. Arch Manning could have been drafted 1 and been eligible, and I wouldn't have put him on this list. He could have had 75 touchdowns in college and was a generational prospect. And like, I won't have him on this list next year until he plays an actual NFL snap. Dak is good. Yeah, Dak is good. Yeah. Jordan Love is overrated. Purdy is way better. Well, Purdy is better than Jordan Love. Jordan Love has great arm talent. I think the problem is Matt LaFleur is a big issue. I really do. Like, not enough. Like, I've been talking to a lot of Packers fans, and everyone's like, "Oh, Matt LaFleur in the hot seat. What the fuck are you talking about?" Like, dude, like, Jaden Reed looked like the second coming of Christ. Like, Christ resurrected for half the season. Then he's like, you know what? I just won't fucking use him for the second half of the season. Like, you know what I mean? Like, to me, Matt LaFleur is extremely overrated. Extremely, in my opinion, as a play caller. Their defense has really won them a lot of games recently. Yeah, I think LaFleur is a problem. I think he is. Like, to me, it's like, are you fine just winning 10 games and never winning a Super Bowl? That's LaFleur. Like, if you want to win 10 games every year, never win a Super Bowl, that's fine. But if you want your coach to take players to the next level, like, I don't think he's the coach. I think his first few years, he was a great coach. But the issue is I think defenses can figure play callers out. Even Kyle Shanahan, like, he got figured out a lot last year with his play calling. He's going to need to adapt. And if he doesn't, they'll never win a Super Bowl, the Niners. It's the same thing. Like, I think, defenses can figure out, and opposing DCs can figure out these OCs and what they do. Hurts too low. Hurts too low. I don't know about that. By the way, you don't know ball. Like, I will say, like, you don't know ball is probably the worst thing you could ever say to somebody. Like, in history. Like, if you're a sports fan, that's worse than any slur or anything you could ever say to anybody if you're a sports fan. And I at some point, I got to make a video and interview people, like, what's the worst thing someone could say to you as a sports fan? You don't know ball. Yeah, I mean, disrespectful out the door. You could say your girlfriend's ugly, your mom's ugly, whatever. To me, none of that is even close to you don't know ball. No ball knowledge. Yeah, it's pretty. Again, but you have a right to your opinion. If you don't think I know ball, that's completely fine. Congratulations. I hope you have a great day. I hope you are blessed in life and have an excellent life. Baker top 6. Baker? I don't know, man. I have Baker in the top 10, but thank you. Some Packers fans, I'm telling you, I'm not the only one that thinks Matt LaFleur is a bit of an issue the last 2 years, especially calling plays. Nick's top 10. I've seen it for one season. It's similar to, like, Jaden had a top 3 or 4 year last year, right? But I have him at 6 because Hurts won a Super Bowl, and I've only seen Daniels do it 1 year. Yeah, and it's not his fault. He's only been in the league 1 year, right? So, like, I want to see multiple years from these players before, I give them the edge there. Why is Patrick Mahomes 3? You can't tell me, like, you can say, okay, in the playoffs, whatever, with Reed, if you're just watching film, you can't tell me Patrick Mahomes is a better quarterback right now in this moment, singular, same system. You put Josh Allen and you put Lamar Jackson in Andy Reid's system. You can't tell me Mahomes is better than those guys right now as a quarterback. Now, if you're asking me who would I want on my team in the fourth quarter with the game on the line, Patrick Mahomes. Like, of course. But, like, right now, like, someone's got to start talking about it. Like, why has he not been good in the regular season? Right now, like, Someone's got to start talking about it. Like, why has he not been good in the regular season for 2.5 years? You know what I mean? Like, throw for 3,500 yards at least again, or 4,000 yards and 40 touchdowns in 10 picks. Like, what happened to that player? He's not the same player he was early on in his career. He just isn't. You know? And it's okay to say that. Like, we protect him like Curry's protected in the NBA. You can't say anything bad about Steph Curry. You know what I mean? It's like the same thing with Mahomes. Like, why can't we criticize him? He wasn't good in like 75% of his Super Bowls. He's played well in one Super Bowl, 1.5, the second half of another one. You know what I mean? Like, why can't we criticize that? I'm just saying. Like, Spagnuolo has won Patrick Mahomes multiple Super Bowls as the defensive coordinator. You know what I mean? So, I'm just saying. Super Bowl champ at 5. Yeah, Jalen Hurts is a great quarterback. Really, he's a winner. I can't quantify that. So, again. Mahomes won. That's why we don't criticize. Teams win. Like the guy said earlier, teams win. Yes, he's a big part of that, and he's always going to be top 3 because of that. But you could make an argument Joe Burrow is a better quarterback right now than Patrick Mahomes. If we're talking pure stats, if we're talking pure film, it's not Burrow's fault his defense gave up 55 points a game or whatever. You know what I mean? So, again, this is all I'm saying. Like, I love Patrick Mahomes. Like, who doesn't like Patrick Mahomes? He's one of the best football players in the world. But if we can't have that fine line and put him to this standard, like, what happened to the guy that threw 5,600 yards like 4 years ago when he won the MVP? Even 3 years ago when he won the MVP, his second MVP. He's obviously not the same player. And we saw that in the Super Bowl. You know? We saw that against the Bills in the first half. You know? Like, you know what I mean? At some point, we have to criticize these players. And everyone that's like, oh, they shouldn't be. You know what I mean? At some point, we have to criticize these players. And everyone that's like, oh, they shouldn't be critical. But you know what I mean? Like 250 million contracts. Like, athletes are so soft these days. Trust me, I was an athlete. I wasn't good enough to play at the highest level, but I trained like one. I was one. I trained to be a professional athlete in baseball. And I'm telling you, these days, these athletes are so fucking soft. And it's really pissing me off. Like, you are making millions a year. Like, Russell Westbrook's probably like the biggest example of this, where his wife's always on social media. Like, bro, you're making 30 mil a year. To me, I don't care what. I'm making nothing. And people call me shit every day on TikTok. That's fine. Like, to me, it's like, you're making 30 million a year. The least you could do is answer questions. I hate when they get mad at media. I hate when they get mad at comments like Kevin Durant, like the most sensitive player in the world. Even LeBron is extremely sensitive. If you look at, like, why does LeBron care about shit? Like, when he went on the Pat McAfee show and called out Brian Windhorst, that was just super low. That wasn't good at all. You know what I mean? Again, so, yeah. I appreciate you, Cole. But again, you can disagree with me. Like, I don't care. Can you explain the thoughts of Herbert at 14? Yeah, like, so Herbert, if we're talking pure talent perspective, Herbert's the man. Like, he's got a rocket arm. You know, he's got everything you could ask for in a quarterback, except he chokes in big games. And I was willing to keep him in the top 7, 8 last year until I saw him do it again against the Texans. And he was protected all year by Jim Harbaugh, running the ball, didn't pass much, was good when he needed to be. And then at the end of the day, he chokes in the playoffs. Like, that matters to me. So does Dak. But Dak's also a better regular season player than Justin Herbert. And that's why he's higher. Tua below Trevor Lawrence is wild. Well, Lawrence was whatever you call it. Top, like, I believe 12 in QBR before he got hurt last season. He wasn't as bad as people thought. Let's see. Where do you have Kyler Murray? I would have him probably at like 22, to be honest. Like, Kyler either looks like the best player in the world or close to it, or the worst player I've ever seen in my life. And if you watch the film, there's like no in between. To me, I value consistency. Like, at least Dak is consistent until the playoffs. You know what I mean? Kyler's played in one playoff game, so it's kind of unfair to judge him in the playoffs, but he also hasn't been there. Where's Caleb? To me, Caleb's going to be top 15, 10-15 by the end of next season. But if we're basing it purely off of last year, Drake May did more with less. And I couldn't put Caleb in the top 20 over guys that have, earned it over time. Yeah, T-Law is a bit too high. I get that. And people have T-Law as like the 28th quarterback or whatever. T-Law it hasn't been a lot of his fault. Like, yes, he's not a great processor, actually. Like, he was out-talenting guys even at Clemson in college. But if we're talking about a quarterback that, if you look at his numbers, aren't horrible if we're talking pure QBR when he's healthy, I think I would still put him in that top 20. Yeah. Why is Kyler not top 20? I just don't think Kyler has earned it. Like, to me, my respect. Now, again, Kyler has 0 division titles. And again, it's a team sport. I get it. But if he was that superstar that we thought he was going to be, why hasn't he elevated the Cardinals? Even last year, the defense won him a lot of games. It wasn't even, him. Like, he's either looking like a top 5 player in the world or the worst quarterback in the NFL. And to me, there's no in between. He has no consistency at all. Why? Let's see. You're a Dak fan. I want to know why you have Dak at 10. Well, I get the Dak haters in terms of playoff success. A lot of it was Cowboys roster construction, not entirely his fault. But if we're talking about consistency from week 1 to week 18, every single year, Dak is a top 6-7 guy. And the reason why I put him at 10 is because of the lack of playoff success. Otherwise, he'd be higher. If we're talking from pure talent, pure consistency, Dak is a heck of a game manager, like top tier. He can make plays with his legs as well. I just think, he puts up big numbers. We're talking about one of the better regular season quarterback seasons 2 years ago when he finished third in MVP voting in recent memory. Like, in terms of QBR, in terms of protecting the football, he didn't throw many picks, touchdowns. Like, they didn't have a wide receiver too. What was it, Brandon Cooks? Like, he was fine, but Jake Ferguson had a pretty big year. But yeah, I mean, I value that. I value Dak's consistency in the regular season. Like, I think Dak is overhated at this point. Like, he's a good quarterback. You know what I mean? Like, Dak is good. And again, you can win playoff games in a variety of ways. If you think he just doesn't have that it factor in the playoffs, create a dominant run game so that he doesn't have to do too much, because he can game manage at a high level. Similarly to Brock Purdy. You know what I mean? Can you explain Purdy at 8? Well, Purdy, third best QBR of any quarterback in the National Football League since they started their career. Number 1 in yards per EPA. Number 1 in yards per attempt since he entered the league. Top 5 in passer rating. Top 5 in yards. Top 5 in touchdowns on long throws. So we're talking 20-plus yard throws. Passer rating is still there. Clean pocket rating, he's top tier. To me, it's about, like, he plays in a great system, but he's also mastered the system. Like, he's better than Jimmy Garoppolo was in this Kyle Shanahan system. He's better than anybody has been in this Kyle Shanahan system. And at the end of the day, like, Brock Purdy, to me, like, listen, if we're judging guys based off, they're big and strong, like, Tyler Shuck would be the best quarterback in the NFL. I'd be in the NFL. I'm 6'6", 245. I'm not good enough to play in the freaking NFL. Like, what are we talking about? It doesn't matter how far I can throw a football. To me, Brock Purdy, yeah, he lacks size, he lacks strength, but at the end of the day, his processing is elite. He can read defenses like this, and he gets it to his guys. So at the end of the day, to me, that matters, and he wins. He's a winner. Like, he didn't have anybody on his team last year that was healthy, and he was still 7th in QBR. Now, he had a few bad games. In the second half against the Lions, he threw 2 picks, and I understand. That's why I have him at 8, but there's arguments for Purdy to be at 6. There's arguments for Purdy to be at 13. I'm fine with both. I think Purdy is kind of in the middle of that. I'm fine with anybody putting him in that, like, 8 to 12 range. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Drew Brees was small too. Yeah, Drew Brees had a better arm than Brock Purdy. But, like, yes, to me, it's like we get so infatuated with, like, guys like Justin Herbert, who's, like, looks like Zeus. But we're playing fucking football at the end of the day, man. Like Brady wasn't the most athletic. Brady couldn't even run a 5.5 40 basically almost, right? And he's the best quarterback of all time. Why? Because he's an elite processor. Peyton Manning was a snail, but what was he? An elite processor. Processors are why they get paid. To me, if we're talking pure talent, like Lawrence is all talent. Herbert's all talent. Like Kyler's all talent. Kyler can't process defenses that well. Purdy is an elite processor. I think he's a top 5 processor in the league. I really do. That matters. I get he has lack of traits. Like, whatever. Like, we got to stop thinking like we got to stop drafting Will Levis's. And the reason why I like Drew Aller isn't because of the Josh Allen type of stature comparison. It's what I see from him. He's great at protecting the ball, doesn't throw many picks, and he has those skills and talents to read and process defenses. Now, there's a lot of flaws in his game, but when people are always coming at me like, why do you like Drew Aller so much and not Garrett Nussmeier? Like, Garrett Nussmeier is a solid arm. He's good in the pocket. I don't like his footwork as much as Aller or Klubnik, right? Like, when I evaluate quarterbacks, I want to see how do they process defenses. Do they have that it factor where they think, even if they can't, they think they can win a game single-handedly? Brock Purdy has that. Like, Baker Mayfield has that. That matters to me. Like, I don't know if it matters to you guys. Like, it matters that I want a quarterback that's not scared of the moment. You know what I mean? I don't care if he's 5'5" or 6'8", you know? Like, yeah. Purdy at 8 is wild. Purdy's a good quarterback. Like, the stats back it up. I get he's in a good system, but he's mastered the system, and every quarterback is a system quarterback except like 3 quarterbacks, right? So, in the NFL, pretty much. They benefit or they don't benefit from systems. Like, Caleb Williams, talent-wise, entered the league a top 15 guy, but he was in a horrible system last year, right? Like, now we're going to see him unleashed because he's with Ben Johnson. That matters. Like, systems do matter. You could make an argument offensive coordinators are as important as the quarterback in today's NFL, like elite offensive coordinators. That's what wins you Super Bowls, or elite DCs like Spagnuolo for the Chiefs. You mix that with an elite OC and Andy Reid, who's basically the coach, but he's also the OC. That's when you get Super Bowls. Like, Patrick Mahomes is excellent, but he's nothing without Andy Reid, right? Again, so this argument that Brock Purdy's a system quarterback, like, everybody technically that has success is a product of their system. Can they take the system to the next level? Yes, and Brock Purdy has. Like, he's been better than Jimmy was on the 49ers. You know what I mean? To me, that matters. I think people are thinking about this the wrong way. Like, if you saw Purdy on the street and you're like, that's a $55 million quarterback or $53 million quarterback, you'd be like, no fucking way, it's pipsqueak. But you see him on the field, you're like, man, this guy can play football at a very high level. I think people are just really mad that they were wrong in their evaluation of him. And I was too. I didn't have him as a 7th round pick, but I didn't have him top 3 rounds. Nobody did. And if they did, they're lying to you. But no one wants to admit they're wrong. And that's why Brock Purdy is disrespected. It's just people don't want to admit they were wrong. You think Seattle downgraded? I do. You know, they're pretty even to me, Darnold and Geno. I think Darnold has more ability. Geno, I think, is a little better of a processor at this point in his career. I'm not saying that Darnold can't get there. Like, I think Darnold can be great in this system. Kubiak came over to be the OC of Seattle, right? So, I mean, he's a great OC. He was with the 49ers before he learned under Kyle Shanahan. Great with the Saints before the injuries last season. So, I think Darnold can be good. I've always liked Darnold. Another guy. People thought Darnold sucked because he was in bad organizations like the Jets. Like, no one is good on the Jets. Like, Panthers, very tough to be good on the Panthers for what their roster was and what the Jets roster was when they were on the teams. Right? Like, Darnold's always had the talent. He just had to become a better processor. And KOC, Kevin O'Connell, who's an excellent OC, excellent head coach, unlocked that for him. To me, that we're going to see a ton of quarterbacks that are going to be like reclamation projects, right? Like, they're going to come back and be excellent, similar to Geno, similar to, obviously guys like that get their career resurrected by like a Sean McVay or a Kyle Shanahan. Mac Jones could do it. Let's say Brock Purdy gets hurt. Mac Jones is still putting up like 25, 30 touchdowns in a Kyle Shanahan offense. And then he gets a big payday. Like, that's kind of how it works. It's just about coaching. Like, coaching matters with a lot of these guys. You don't think Trevor's top 20? It's been years. I get that. Look, I'm completely fine leaving Trevor out of the top 20. He's 18 on my list. I would be fine with him being 25, 30, 26, 27. You know what I mean? Like, you could replace him with Kyler Murray there. I don't really care. To me, it's the only one. The ones that aren't interchangeable, I think, are the top 15. I think they've earned it. But yeah. Where's Brady? Brady's retired, dog. JJ McCarthy has not played an NFL regular season snap, so I didn't include him. JJ's in a perfect situation, though. JJ is going to be good because anybody who plays quarterback in that system is going to be good. No way Tua's that low. Dude, Tua might be out of the league next year. Like, one more concussion, he's done. Like, I'm just saying, like, they need to protect him. They're so dumb taking Kenneth Grant. I love Kenneth Grant. Like, they need linemen. Protect the quarterback. Trade Tyreek for like 4 linemen. Like, you know what I mean? They should have drafted 8 linemen. Their line was so bad. You know what I mean? To me, that matters. That's what, to me, like, the line is extremely important. And I think now the Niners are kind of disregarding that with Purdy. I think they should start prioritizing the line, considering Trent is 37. But we look at the Eagles, we look at the Chiefs, like, they prioritize the offensive line. Part of the reason the Chiefs lost was because Taylor was so bad. And they finally were starting to call holding penalties on him in the Super Bowl, right? Like, which they hadn't done in previous Super Bowls. So, why is Bo Nix so low? I think Bo Nix being at 15 is fair. Like, we've seen one season of it, and he was excellent. Just as Jane Daniels at 6 is fair, because we've seen one season of it, right? Like, if I see another season of it, of course I'm going to put him 5th above Jalen Hurts if he's better than Hurts again next year. Even though Hurts won a Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Where would A-Rod be? I have him probably around 22, 23. Yeah. I would disagree with that statement that Bo Nix had better stats than Daniels. I would say Daniels had better stats overall. And he won more games. I know they both won, but like, I feel like both of them didn't have a whole lot to work with. Both did really well. Someone said Quinn Ewers. It's funny. If you've followed this page, you know my thoughts on Quinn Ewers. But anyways, I got to run. This will be up on YouTube as well afterwards. Make sure you follow me here on TikTok, even if you disagree with me or agree with me. I love you guys either way. I hope you guys have a blessed day, and thank you for supporting my content.